Trader.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to our morning broadcast here, I suppose, on the west coast of North America. I guess it's around lunchtime. Those people back east, most of your day is already over. And I suppose it's maybe early evening there for over in Europe. So good to see we're marching our way through the summer here, and I think everything's sort of relatively just humming along. Typical summer market too. I do notice that we years gone by, especially in the last growth cycle, this most recent fear cycle that started in 2000 and 2018 was definitely a unique experience. Lots of learning material, and if anything, I think it went on probably about 3 or 4 years too long. And I think I'd actually make the argument that maybe that 2019 and all that sickness and that, well, I mean, what's the point in going down that rabbit hole? I mean, you all know what happened. I think it sort of skewed all of these cycles, but I think that the real pivots, of course, are that Jupiter-Saturn event. Seems to be the case. It should probably it would behoove all of you. Actually, maybe that's kind of a fun thing to do. Maybe we'll do that in the after party today. We'll go look at some astral events. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do for the after party today because being the summer, things pretty quiet, so we don't have a lot of guest speakers and that kind of stuff. And actually, I noticed we have our sort of core group. In fact, maybe we'll get Eddie to come on and show us some of the altcoins he's interested in. He's a core member here that shows up consistently. It's great to see you. Also, too, I noticed that Josh was pretty active. We got a fairly active regular community. Nathaniel posting a ton of stuff in the lounge this morning. Great to see him very active. Sjord, of course, popping in. Actually, Sjord was able to fix our breadth indicator. Remember, we showed there a week or so ago, we had a little brain fart by the algo. And actually, this looks a lot more like the kind of market, the state that we're in right now. So good to see Sjord got on top of that. And of course, we had a pretty nasty drubbing yesterday. So I suppose it's interesting, like the broader market isn't really that happy. And this is going to be an interesting testament because the late 1940s was a pretty tumultuous time with the end of the Second World War. I think you could actually make the argument that what you see going on in World War or in Eastern Europe is actually the attempt to try and start World War III. And it might go on for as long as World War II went on. We'll see whether the rest of Europe gets dragged into this. It feels almost like that's the sort of ultimate end game. Now, what was interesting about that is that there was actually another big war right around 1950. It was isolated to the Korean Peninsula, but nonetheless, it was sort of like, I think that was sort of the end of that tumultuous period. Call it the Great Reset of that particular generation. And then that laid the groundwork for the 1950s and early 1960s, that greed cycle. And I would be willing to bet dollars to donuts that if you went back in the history books, pulled out all the news headlines, you notice nobody really talks about what's going on, what happened in the 1940s nowadays. It's almost like, well, that was 100 years ago. Nobody cares about that. But actually, I would make the argument that the historical similarities are quite shocking. So if you wanted a roadmap of what to expect going forward, I think you pull up we should have like a history timeline from about 1943 in 2023 till about 19 60 or so, and if anything, that's a good reason, a good thing we have sort of things like the Dow Jones index. Maybe we'll do that in the after party as well. So there's a couple things we could kick around. But I think the big thing there was, and I mentioned this the other day, it was called the Nifty 50. And there was just a handful of stocks that just consistently just were in unrelenting bull markets. And I think you're seeing this generation. I think you're seeing the same thing here. If we look at things like, where's our market carpet? I have a cool market carpet site that I like to look at. Finviz, they have a pretty good market carpet. You can literally see who the Nifty 50 this particular generation are going to be. And what's fascinating is that recently I've been pounding the table about Intel. And then unfortunately, like a doofus, I go and try and like just basically pick bottoms and stuff like that. And now I'm being left behind here. So frustrating. But I think Intel is going to dramatically play catch up here. Intel literally has not participated in anything. And actually, this is not even this is, I suppose, that sickness market. But if and you can't even see charts. So there's an interesting commentary how like a lot of these kind of charting sites and stuff like that, they won't even let the public see how dramatically Intel has underperformed over the years. Here's another one that I was uber bullish about over the past year. This is a Canadian company, and it's basically the same thing. They just did not participate in the past 20 years. Now, if you go to like a monthly chart, there was Celestica through the dot-com boom, and you can see, and now this damn stock is coming alive, and I was barking about this thing forever. So, Intel is exactly the same story. And I remember I was barking about this thing a few months ago. I sure hope I haven't missed the boat here. But, there's the dot-com boom. This thing hasn't done anything. I mean, we used to be for the longest time that Intel and Microsoft, Intel made the chips, Microsoft made the software, which powered this whole dot-com boom. And of course, what did Microsoft do? There is the dot-com boom peak. So does Intel have to play a bit of catch up here, maybe? So anyway, it's a little bit frustrating, I suppose, but what the hell? That's the hallmark of Brian's life, it seems. Anyway, so I think you're probably going to where was I? I think you're probably going, where's that market carpet thing go? Yeah, there it is. I think you're going to see a basket of stocks that sort of are the darlings of the market. And because they're so big, I mean, look at the size of Microsoft and Apple's box versus something like there's Philip Morris. Hey, Philip Morris, when I was a kid, this whole situation was exactly opposite. Philip Morris was this big, and they owned, and it was a consumer-based economy. And of course, everybody smoked, right? So how ironic, it's completely flipped. But you could make the argument Philip Morris was like one of those Nifty 50 stocks. And just relentless. Coca-Cola was also another one of them, right? And you can see they're kind of like, Procter and Gamble, that was another one. Anyway, so this go round, you can see Google and Amazon, Apple, Microsoft. Interesting to see whether Tesla has sort of had its go. If you're interested in automotive stocks, I actually prefer, my favorite automotive stock right now is Toyota. And actually Toyota recently, what the hell's the damn symbol? Toyota recently announced a solid state battery. So if you're big on electric cars, and you might make the argument, and interesting, I have this little posted here. We actually had a really nice pullback. It is a monthly chart, actually. Had a really nice pullback, and I really liked entering here. And of course, there's another stock where I've been just left behind. Frustrating as hell. There it is. Anyway, if I was going to be investing in car stocks, I think I would prefer to be investing in this Toyota, especially right off of all of these long-term W's. Brian, he loves his W's, but I can't chase that there, which sucks. Maybe if we're lucky, we get a nice pullback here this fall into like October, November. And they label it like some sort of flash crash or something like that, and I can sneak my way in. But unfortunately, I can't buy that there. Anyway, so starting off the conversation here today, I kind of had said that, if you actually look at the broader market, the S&P 500 and things like the Russell 2000 and that kind of stuff, most of these stocks actually aren't doing a hell of a lot. I mean, that's the irony of this crazy capitalist model that we're in right now. And there's just a few stocks and companies that are doing really, really well. So the IWM, this would be sort of a proxy on this small cap market. And you can see actually, yes, we are trying to W, really nice looking Ws. And the small cap market's trying to get out back on its feet, but we're nowhere near those old highs. So I'm not, I think that the outperformance that you see in the market is this function of this nifty 50 kind of market state here. So anyway, it is what it is. My hunch is these big boys probably just keep grinding and see money throwing at them over the next while, just consistently. There is Tesla's in there. So it was interesting how we had a weekly outside downside key reversal there on Tesla. You don't see that every day. So that's one reason why I'm sort of like, meh, about Tesla. I think Toyota is starting to come out with some news that's catching people's attention. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. Being the demonstrator of best practices, I think it's a good idea that you set yourself up on a regular routine, regular schedule. And that includes things like checking in with how your equipment's doing. Actually, that's if it's one, hey, look at that, we got a Guggen here. If it's one thing that I'm seeing very consistent in my life is that the computers are treating me pretty well. So that's good. And everybody's sort of like, oh my God, when's the internet going to go down? When's the internet going to go down? But actually, computers have been, and tech has been treating me pretty well lately. Diet and exercise. Actually, I'm eating pretty well these days, so that's not so good. Actually, I don't look too bad. Exercise, my shoulders, it's slowly getting better, so that's good. And I do my daily exercises. I did in the wintertime try to put myself on a bit of a workout routine, but actually my body, I'm over the hill now, so I'm not the young little spring chicken I once was. So maybe I worked myself a little too hard. But anyway, health-wise, not so bad. Sleep schedule, good to see. Actually, I even went to bed. I came back from Liam. It was a very long afternoon with Liam. And FYI, I asked people for best wishes and stuff, and I think it actually does make a difference. And he's in good spirits. So, little guy, if I can somehow make a positive difference in his life, then I'm doing my job. 23 years old though, so he's not exactly a kid anymore. Anyway, hey, it was a miracle. I was able to actually book a doctor's appointment in the lower mainland of BC. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and have a doctor look at my shoulder tomorrow. So that's probably a good thing. And hell, even be able to have an appointment on a Saturday. Imagine that. Econs out today. I think the general message here today, price inflation. You even heard Jerry the other day say we got a whole bunch of data points coming up here and we're data dependent and we're not going to say whether we're going to raise or lower interest rates and all blah, 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 blah. I get and keep in mind that they did just raise interest rates once again. I get the impression that they've gotten in front of this inflation problem. It's just really a question of, interestingly enough, and this is a hard thing for most of the public to understand, while the Fed is actually raising interest rates, that's a good sign. That actually means the economy should do relatively well. And if you want to see growth and stuff in that kind of environment, the economy does well. Something will break eventually. Now, whether it be something here in North America, whether it be things like the banking industry, we saw there back in the winter, the banks teetered a little bit. I think they teetered a little bit, and there were specific ones, regional banks. I think that was actually done on purpose by the people, that the money centered banks of New York. And keep in mind, they've been having this debate now for literally hundreds of years. Do we want to centralize control in a few players' hands, or do we want a nice regionalization and can think distributed a banking system, decentralized? And of course, the what's that doofus's name? Joey, the Joey Diamonds of the world. Of course, he wants to be a monopoly, right? He wants to have concentrate all the power in his hands. And of course, what a hypocrite, right? The guy actually comes out publicly and says on a North American talk show, and of course, it's all the people at JP Morgan have completely buried that now. But he tried so desperately to kill Bitcoin. But I think Bitcoin's actually now more stronger than ever. So it just goes to show. I mean, it just didn't serve him and his purposes. And he is willing to come out and publicly, blatantly lie to your face to further his agenda. I mean, that's actually very typical capitalist. Sadly, though, too, it's very typical human. Let's see if anybody can actually finish this line. How do we know when a politician's lying to you? So anyway, it's silly humans. So I guess the point here is the interest rate increases are having their desired effect to slow down this price inflation problem. And if anything, what ends up happening is you get these imbalances in societies where, because of certain economic conditions, maybe it's low interest rates, capital flows too much into one sector or another. And frankly speaking, I mean, we all know, you hear me constantly going on about the house prices here in Canada. This is actually, with the Fed raising interest rates, it's actually probably the most appropriate way to rebalance the system. And it's just pure economics. It's just, look at, you can't afford this, so don't go and buy it, and maybe you can't afford this and you're not making your monthly payments and you need to be forced into bankruptcy and liquidation and receivership and off to debtor's prison you go. I mean, keep in mind, folks, and I've said this from day one, we started this TRI never spending a penny out of our pockets, never gone into debt. I live my life neither a borrower nor a lender be. Don't get into that shit, because once you become a bitch of the banks, look at all these Western governments, and probably they say something like the average North American can't afford a $500 hit. They could wipe them out. So this is the way, with the interest rate increases, this is the natural way, I think, that you sort of correct those imbalances. And unfortunately, it does mean for some people, going to have to inflict a bit of pain in your life. You want to see the way that you shouldn't do this because it just makes the situation worse. And this is what's so frustrating, is because, the people that haven't, ants and grasshoppers, but the people who haven't set themselves up very well, they become dependent on handouts. And then if you start saying things like, handouts really aren't in your best interest, you should get off the dole. You should get off, just being looking for government to actually solve your problems. That's a potion for disaster. It really is. And I might make the argument, and I'm trying to show you, but I don't even know where the hell I have the damn link. Anyway, maybe it's best that I don't show you. Hey, go look at my Twitter feed. The stupid substitute drama teachers trying to solve the problems of our country by literally putting everybody in this country on welfare, and welcome to the welfare state. That's not the way you solve these problems. And the more welfare state you create, the more of a disaster is going to happen down the road when this whole thing falls apart. And he's just fueling, fire for the fuel. I can show you right here. I mean, they're literally now, and you don't even have to apply for this. This is insanity what's going on here. Like, literally, people are just being sent checks, whether you want it or not. I mean, the Canada worker benefit top ups, the income of blah, 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 blah. And of course, they got to throw in hardworking Canadians. Now, is there any definition of them being hardworking or not hardworking to collect this? No. So this is clearly political, right? Clearly political. And then, of course, it's this idiot. You know how much I love her. So this is the way you don't fix the problem. You don't go and just keep printing more money. It's just going to make the situation worse. And if you want examples of it, look at Weimar Germany. Look at Zimbabwe. Look at Venezuela. I mean, and I don't understand why these socialists are just not getting the message. This is how you do not solve the problem. If anything, what you got to do is keep these grocery oligarchs, just tell them, look it, you're not allowed to raise prices. Stop raising prices. I mean, you want to get like central planning. That's the way you get in control of this. But of course, we all know that the politicians are basically in the oligarchs' back pocket. Yeah, all right. Now Brian's getting all political again. Sorry, Eddie. Eddie hates when I get talk politics. Yeah, it's all right. So back to what I'm supposed to be doing here. And of course, I'm not doing TRI any favors with these broadcasts. Hope you guys all enjoyed Julian. I think if anything, Julian should probably do 2 or 3 days a week because I think he's doing a much better job at these things than me. I'm so frustrated in my life right now about the way my country's just going down such a bad path. Anyway, we'll see what happens. All right, so the Americans are slowing the inflation problem down. As you can see, headlines here, Canadian economy likely contracting. I think that the Canadians are going the exact wrong route. Interesting to see how, NASDAQ, Nifty 50 kind of names are just booming here. Interesting how, ironically enough, the Dow itself is actually, old economy is actually underperforming. And I suppose on the actual headline news this morning, that sort of caused the pivot because I often tell you guys, probably our best bet is just to follow Japan. And what it's doing is probably a pretty good gauge. So I wouldn't be surprised if out of the gate Monday morning, Japan booms higher. Also interesting too, and I think it caught the market a little bit by surprise, but good old Wall Street wins again. This is the S&P 500 spiders, 457.5. Put options, once again, I mean, look at this. This is stunning, eh? So literally, they got everybody and their brother to go and panic buy put options. There's like what, about 80, almost 90,000 put options there between the 449s and 450s. And then you get all the way up here. They're going to have to actually pay out any option. And I suppose with 457.48, 458 would actually imply intrinsic value on a put option. And you notice there's the 458 strike. So they're on the hook for these options here. Isn't that incredible? It's just like week in, week out. It's the same message over and over and over. Wall Street hits yet again another home run. It's remarkable how they do this. So anyway, there you go. Big win for Wall Street once again. Trying to run the day trading program. Again, this sheet was supposed to be all about setting ourselves up for best practices. We're going to do a boot camp maybe this fall if there was some interest in actual doing a boot camp. And what I would ask is Sjord, actually, and bless Sjord's heart, as TRI CTO, he actually put together a I think it was like a poll room here on the Discord. So if you are a member of the Discord community here at TRI, although now I can't seem to find it. Anyway, if I'm not mistaken, I think Sjord put together a poll here. So if you
requests.
Is it? So I'm going right by it. I can't even see it. I'm so blind. Good. Look at that. I can't even. Oh, there it is up there. DB. Oh yeah, there's your Pro Bootcamp. So Stuart put together a poll here, and if I see that this number gets up into the wow, 24 people, son of a bitch. Okay, so that surprised me. I guess there are some people who are interested in this. So if you are a site member and you would like me to get my ass over to it, it's interesting. Look at this. Europe, 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 Europe. I get the impression somebody's trying to lobby for me to go to Europe. That's funny. So okay, well, it looks like we do have some demand for it. If you are on the site, if you are a part of school membership, that kind of stuff, and you would like to come over and do the boot camp training program we were thinking about doing this fall over in Europe, which is just to basically set yourself up to do what I do here on a daily basis. And actually, interestingly enough, please hop into the boot camp room on Discord and fill out the survey so we can get a pretty good idea where we can do this. And as soon as we get an idea of what it looks like, we're all over the map here. But Adam, I think you're over on YouTube. Adam did just an absolute awesome job. He picked the place, the second place that we stayed at in Portugal when we were there last year, and the place was just heaven. It was such an awesome place to stay. So Adam, you officially have volunteered for which Airbnb you think we should do this in. Thanks for volunteering, man, because it doesn't look like we have any choice. Looks like we better do one of these things. And Adam is really, really good at finding really awesome Airbnbs. All right, he's already volunteered to volunteer. Thank you, Adam. Hugs and kisses. You're awesome. All right, so what the hell did Brian do today? Took a short shot right out of the gate this morning on an ES, and I was actually pretty disappointed in myself on this short shot. It was just simply, I had a whole bunch of highs to work with. I had a whole bunch of bear divs, and I just came in. Of course, Brian, how much he loves his 78.6. So I actually saw this rally up into here, and I hit it, and I was going to basically risk against this doji bars high, and you can see I got blown out. And if anything, I was a little disappointed in myself because I should have let the price come into this level, let it calm down, give me some sort of sell signal, and then go. So, but I was able to, limit loss, limit risk. So that's always a good thing. On balance, it wasn't a terrible trade idea. But when I was like reviewing my notes, and that's half of what you have to do here, is you'll notice that when I first got up out of the gate this morning, I even posted that I really wasn't impressed with this trade location. You can see ATR was a bit higher. And really, we could very easily go right back up against and tag this channel top, and actually make some sort of official topping pattern here. So I was a little cross at myself for taking that trade this morning, and it resulted in a 12 tick loss. And you can see I was like, shut her down. That was a really, really bad trade location. Brian, what the hell are you doing? So I gave myself a timeout, and I just kept watching for levels. And you notice that I had pointed out the gold market wasn't really interested. I mean, maybe we had a trade level against this trend line, midpoint of this channel, and coming up against the moving averages. But right here, nothing. So I'm glad I didn't really look at gold. But you notice that I actually had crude oil as, yes, this was an acceptable trade location. Came into a foggy boggy there the other day. We also have, of course, the other day's highs as horizontal support and resistance. This is a wick, and of course, you've heard me talk about, wicks and tails like to be eaten. So there is obviously some supply that's willing to hit the market up top here. So I kept focused, and I was like, if I'm gonna take any other trades, I better be well vetted. So on the 4-hour chart, there we were coming up into that level. There was the foggy boggy from the other day, 78.6. You know how much Brian loves his 78.6s. So we had the 4-hour trade location. I was like, you know what? If I'm going to take any shot today, this is the shot I should be taking. And actually, the trade worked out very well. And this is the difference between that previous chart and this chart. Notice I was patient. I let this candle finish. Next candle opened up. It went a bit higher. And of course, everybody knows what type of candle that is, right? That is a I can't think of a funny name for it. It's a shooting star, but it's so funny how people on social media come up with the craziest names for candles. Anyway, so that is your visual evidence that, hey, there is some sign of weakness here in the market. It was also well above value. It was, my favorite fib level. We had a bunch of potential divs here. So this was like, all right, if I'm going to take a shot, this was against the old high, that previous high, that 4669 level was right up there. So I was going to risk against that high. And this trade actually worked very well. I only did one contract because I already had a flub up there earlier and I didn't want to make a bad situation worse. I was willing to take a 20-30 tick loss, no big deal on this. And had that been the case, that would have been my daily loss limit and I would have definitely had to shut down. There were so many really cool things about this trade too, because this is actually Johnny Hoagland. Thank you, Adam. In our level 2 program, we teach volume profile, and John, we call it now. We can't call it the 80% rule because somebody pointed out, well, it's not exactly 80%, but now we call it the 80% play, but. I definitely think that if we fail up at the top of value and we accept back into value, 80% of the time, we've got a pretty good chance of going back and revisiting the other end of value. And that's exactly what this trade was. Turned out to be a very nice 2-to-1. You can see about halfway through the trade, I had permission to move stop to scratch. So on balance, this is a great way to finish the day. Nice plus 67 ticks. And like if you want to do things like top step combines and stuff like that, it's critical to them that your average winner, and in this case on today it was plus 67 ticks, is bigger than your average loser. So my loser today was 12 ticks, my winner was 67 ticks. Que bella. That's exactly the way you want to trade. So as soon as I booked that trade, I booked it at the lounge. I'm like, that's it, I'm done. Shut everything down. I'll see you later. And I declared victory on the day. Yay! The only thing I'm a little bit, I think we'd leave it at that. So my day trading was a positive day, profitable day. I have got nothing to complain about. Yes, probably just to finish off this video, and we're basically at the half-hour mark, so we should probably wind this up fairly shortly. Oh, what's the old Bitcoin doing? And actually, interestingly enough, before we head off on that tangent, one other thing that I thought I'd mention, I don't really have a problem if you wanted to bot this out, 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows, 4 lows. We got lots of lows to work with. This to me looks like it wants to head up here. And like we might even do something like, oops, that's not what I wanted. A bot setup so we can actually even see where the levels are. Boom, 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 boom. And then we'll go bot trade. Oh, look at that. Interesting how the bot, basically the long entry is all of this market structure. That happens a lot in trading. So I get the distinct impression that the stock market wants to go up. I don't know whether it's ready just yet. We might have to do some back and forth. I know guys like Larry Williams were talking about how maybe August and early September might be a bit of a break. I don't know, tough to say. But that market does look like it wants to go up. And then, of course, we talked about the Nifty 50 and some of those stocks. Intel's booming higher. That's Celestica. Toyota's moving up. Microsoft, look at that, another $8 on the day. And a lot of the darlings, look at Intel up $2.50, 6.5% move on the day. Ay caramba. So the stock market and the economy, these proxies, if Fed's got interest rates rising, they think that the economy is strong, need for higher short-term interest rates to slow things down. Why? And I thought it was interesting. We pointed this out about a week or so ago. I'm scratching my head about Tesla here because you don't get weekly outside downside key reversals every day. And this actually was on a news event. There's the earnings report. So you can't even say that there's a big earnings report coming to support the stock. That's already happened. So I'm very leery about Tesla. But look at this. This is shocking. Uh-oh. Look who's coming back. So I thought it was interesting. The sort of number two man in China, who was a bit anti-capitalist, anti-Western, a little bit more totalitarian dictatorship. Winnie the Pooh got rid of him, and he elevated a guy who was actually extremely bullish of the capitalists. And well, bullish of the guy. He's extremely capitalist. I can't remember his name, and I suppose we could find the names. But it is interesting that this Chinese ETF, and we had kind of pointed this out, that the screeners were all spitting up key reversal signals, not only in this ETF, but you can see also this ETF. Look at this one. This one just is gapping violently higher. So it's almost like, keep in mind, middle to the late of summer, sometimes we get into these kind of market states where we just have runaway bull market. It happens a lot. And then what ends up happening, of course, is they'll bid these things up. And keep in mind that if this bot does play out, you'll notice that there's the price objective. There's the 200 SMA off the weekly price chart of this big ETF. All they're really doing is they're just rallying this thing right back into 50% retracement levels of the entire range. I wouldn't necessarily call this a bull market and an investable asset. And you know me, I'd never invest in China anyway. But I think this definitely is a trade. And if you happen to be so inclined, well, Godspeed. Hope it works out for you. I would be shocked if this didn't work. And then it came on the heels of, like I said, Winnie sort of reorganized things over there in China. I think he maybe got the message that he was being a little bit too tough on the capitalists. I did find it interesting that Joe Biden actually just recently outlawed all of the Hong Kong representatives to like a trade meeting or something, which is a really interesting development. So that will be interesting as a side story to see how that plays out. And of course, if Winnie comes out and they sort of make friends again, that'll be a big business boost for Hong Kong. So point here is that I think you can actually see whether it be something like this Chinese bot or whether it be something like the Russell 2000 bot. The S&P 500 has one of these things working now. This whole damn market looks like it wants to go up, which is quite shocking. And I suppose the coup de grace to all of this is as soon as the algo turns back up, we'll probably get a kick-ass buy signal. And oh boy, look out. So right now the algo is cleaning itself up. I think the broader market, you saw that Russell 2000 kind of thing. I think it still needs some time to sort of, put the base in, but it sure looks like it wants to go higher on the longer term. And then I suppose to finish off this free video for you guys here, what the hell's crypto doing? Crypto tastes great. Bitcoin. And actually, because it is a couple days past, I can actually show you the signal. It was interesting that we had sort of the market failing, then the market reversing back to the upside, then the market failing, and here comes a big fat W, and they rallied the market right back up to our most recent algo buy. Yeah, we have a little bit of signs of failure here, but this double bottom looks pretty darn powerful. And I wouldn't be surprised if over the weekend, I think the market's got a bit of head of steam behind it. We'll see how this goes. Tough to say. This is actually the image that I think is most appropriate here. Had a bearish bot working. We hit move stop to trailing. Market firmed up here a bit. We start putting in W. So this is a good example of why we have the move stop to trailing. Maybe it's in your best interest to start locking in profits had you taken this short. And you can start to see that W's are starting to form here. There was our FOMC event. Actually created a bit of a shooting star through that, rolled over, and then, the reaction the day after, this is where, if there was going to be a big dump, that's where it would come. And notice they kind of just dumped price right into candle body lows or trade location, reload zones. You guys know how all this goes, right? I mean, look at that reload zone, all these candle body lows. They dip the market right into that, and then bang, 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 big fat W. And that's what that W is right there. So I actually don't mind the idea. I mean, this thing could go either way, but because of that W in there, I really don't mind sharpshooters coming in, being long off of the W, or maybe even the stabs into the reload zone, and actually looking for a half decent stab up top. Really, it's not a terrible idea. You could use the moving averages as a bit of support. 200 SMA here, probably on this 4-hour chart, is going to be resistance. Wicks and tails like to be eaten, candle body highs for trade location, that kind of thing. Can we stab all the way up into 2.618s and reload zones and this primary trend line that I think is actually still dominating, believe it or not? I really do think that that's the pivot. So we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of a rally here, or going forward here. The inflation numbers are relatively benign. It's not really like you should expect a huge increase in interest rates now, because the increases already happened. That's yesterday's news. So now the question is, does that interest rate increase kind of just sort of roll over? And, our sine wave study, I still haven't got this chart looking the way I want it to look, since they got rid of the euro dollar contracts. But the sine wave actually says that here in 2024, that's actually when we should be looking for the pivot in short-term interest rates. So we're kind of in a sweet spot of the market right now. So actually, I'm not feeling too unoptimistic. I guess that's probably the best way to describe it. Bitcoin trends still pointing up. Our 1330 SMA relationship off of the weekly charts turned back up there, and it's still very healthily pointing up. And as we said, off of those lower time frame charts, I could very easily see a stab back up to the top end of the range here. And then I don't know whether there's money to be made here in like 10x kind of thing. But a lot of these little coins sure are looking interesting. I did notice that one of our site OGs, Zug, Zoogie Sticks, I think is his formal name. He had pointed out that there was some bullish developments happening in one of his favorite names. That's a cute little double bottom trying to come in there. So you might want to consider playing that little W to see if it takes you higher. But look at some of these names. Look at that guy. I mean, this, if anything, is the absolute hallmark of what we're trying to teach people here at TRI, where, maybe you bought the original W down here, you're selling halves on doubles, and then you get a nice pullback into Brian's favorite fib, 78.6. It's summer silly season. So this is basically exactly what's supposed to happen here. We're bumping up against trend lines, and look at what's trying to come in here now. So could this thing take another run back up here? Keep in mind, VTOPs, by definition, a VTOP should be tested. And, look at all these trap bulls all up here in this wick, candle body highs for trade location, all that kind of talk. So if this thing could turn around and get through this high here, holy moly, this is all open air up top here. And there are a lot of cryptocurrencies that look like this. And hats off to Adam. Hats off to you, sir. Geez, I mean, you are just a trading god right now. Hey, he's absolutely killing it in the options and the spreads business with his buddy Ed out of California. They're two Californians. Suppose you guys are going to make so much money, you'll be able to correct the state. But I was really worried about this. What the hell was it? It was VGX, right? Why did I still have that half it. Yeah, here's the story right here. So this one I dumped. I think I picked some up off of like reload zones, tested these lows here. And then it dumped further, and I was like, I wanted to go buy some, and then the site members were kind of like, well, Brian, they're in Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. I was kind of like, you know what? I just took my money out and I left it alone. And Adam said, well, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to buy a little bit because I'm a gunslinger and it's in my plan. I don't have a problem. I'll take the chance. And Adam's getting paid here. Now you can actually see is a beautiful inverted head and shoulders working here now. Yeah, I suppose that low is doable, which means that we're probably heading up to tag this 200 SMA, which means, if Adam stepped in here and bought 11, 12, 13 cents at 28 cents, he should be able to get at least a double off. And, if they can emerge from bankruptcy and actually things are relatively positive, I don't know the story. I mean, capitalism. This thing's got a hell of a long way to come back. So congratulations, Adam. Nice trading there. You are the man. But the point here is that I see a lot of names that are looking like this. They're trying to turn the corner. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know whether I necessarily think that Bitcoin, you're going to make your fortune in there. But a lot of these little ones sure look interesting in here. So if anything, this is, there's like, well, there's a couple sites I'll load up later on this afternoon, heading through the weekend. The bubbles. In fact, Chris, what was the name that you said on that MEX exchange or something? Our good buddy Sjord. What was the name of it? COP, right?
Yeah, ICP.
COP, is that what it was?
ICP.
ICP. That's right. Sorry. IP Freely. No, that's somebody else. And I think, a lot of us have been kicked off of Binance. So he went over to, what did you say the exchange was? This MEX, right? I don't know whether
Yes, that's it. Yep.
This thing right here?
Yeah, that's actually the product.
So, yeah, that's an interesting looking little chart there, right? Sjord's did a fantastic. Somebody says it's on Coinbase. Well, that's probably a little bit more liquid place to look at it. But anyway, where is Coinbase? ICP? Did I get that right? Yeah, I think I did. Actually, it's listed on a whole bunch of places, eh? So this should be a half decent place. There it is. Internet computer. And of course, Sjord said he absolutely hates that name. I got to tell you, this is a pretty interesting looking setup we got going here. I think Chris said that he sharpshooted a nice little inside bar reversal there or something along those lines. Maybe in the after party, we'll get him to talk a little bit about the trade that he took. But hopefully you can all see this. This is pretty straightforward bot stuff. So look how the trade, in fact, if you wanted to join the trade, we haven't had the move stop to scratch level hit here. So this thing still is technically alive. 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows. You get any kind of dip against that 4 1/4 area. And you can see it looks like it wants to get up into this 5 1/8 area. And this is, I see a lot of this in crypto. So, it is the time of year when this stuff should happen. This is the summer silly season. So get out there and have some fun. We'll leave the free broadcast at that. I talked I guess a little about 20 minutes too much today. Sorry about that. But nonetheless, I mean, there are names that are setting up, and you actually can see there's a bit of green on this screen here. So I wouldn't be surprised if this weekend is and keep your eyes peeled. You might see some really fun stories. So, all right, why don't we leave it at that? Nice dovetail to what Sjord was telling us there on Tuesday. Great to hear that Chris said that he picks them up and he's rocking and rolling. I wouldn't be in a big hurry to walk away from that, Chris. I would just let that thing work, and you might just be handed a really nice treat here. So let's circle back around for the broiler chicken show, and let's take a look and see what happened on this thing through the weekend. All right. Have yourselves a great day. Have a good weekend. PMA for the win. All the best. If you are on the site or you're in Europe or you plan to be in Europe this fall, let me know if you'd like to participate. We need to know. Adam, I think the size of the place that he found us had something like 12 bedrooms or something like that.
Also, Brian.
Yeah.
There's a question on the YouTube site that actually pertains to this subject, so I think you should maybe touch on that too, as far as who should be, coming with us.
Oh, Santos there. Do you
Yep.
have to finish the level 3 to go to the boot camp? I would love to surround myself with. No, no, you don't have to finish. Really, the boot camp is specific, and really that was one of the questions is what do you want us to focus our attention on? Like the boot camp is supposed to be specifically to get you to disciplined, know exactly what your morning daily routine is, how you find levels, how you hunt your setups, and for day traders. And frankly speaking, anybody can be a day trader, I think, once you've come out of, well, I would even say the level 1. There are a lot of concepts in the level 2 and the level 3 that we use that, it would be sort of like, what the hell is a Hogue 80% trade? So if you didn't take level 2, you would have no way of knowing what that was. But no, I think probably at minimum, you should probably have completed the level 1 because I definitely want you to have completed your trading plan. I would definitely say it will help a hell of a lot if you have completed the level 3 program. You may not have taken the final exam. So if you are in the level 3 program through the fall, we do one module in the level 3 program right out of the gate called your Pro Traders Workbench. And obviously, everything that I talked to you guys about this spreadsheet and things like demon finders and all that kind of stuff is directly tied to, your Pro Trader Workbench. So if you don't have your Pro Trader Workbench, and if you're in level 2 and you're like, what the hell's a Pro Trader Workbench? Then it might be difficult to do the day trading boot camp. But maybe what we might do is we might do like 1 week of the day trader boot camp, and then 1 week, because there is quite a bit of demand for setting ourselves up for the coming bull run in crypto. Maybe it might be an idea. You can see there's 11 people that would like to do that. So maybe we might do 1 week of the Pro Trader Day Trader Boot Camp and 1 week of the little old lady, set yourself up, get your trading plan together, get your skirt together, all that kind of stuff. So it may be like a 2-week adventure that we have somewhere over in Europe. That might be a good idea. We'll make no, I'm not going to require that you've completed level 3, but I am going to tell you, you're not going to understand half the stuff that we do in the day trader boot camp unless you've taken the level 3. So based on that, I mean, if I have 15 people that are all ready to rock and roll doing the day trader thing, it's going to be very hard for me to hold your hand if you haven't done the level 3 program with all these other people that have already done it and that are sort of up to speed. So I don't know whether I gave you an answer there. I'm going to say it's probably on a case-by-case basis. It's probably in your best interest to have at least, be in the level 3 this fall. And then that way, because we are planning on doing this sometime this fall, maybe late October, early November, I don't know, something like that. When maybe things have calmed down, like there's not so many tourists and stuff around, and we can buy or get an Airbnb relatively cheap, and we just we have the place and we're not really worried about other people, and we're not really worried about the weather. We're more there to work than to be tourists. So I don't know. Did I give a half decent answer to that? Did I? I don't know. I hope I did. Santos, why don't you PM me on the site if you're super interested and you're super gung-ho, and maybe what we'll do is people who haven't had the level 3 will assign you like a buddy or somebody that has done the level 3, because everybody that's going to be in the trader boot camp, you must have a trading partner. So you are going to get, there's 16 people here that have said they'd like to. you are going to get hooked up with somebody right from the beginning as a trading partner. Maybe somebody who hasn't taken the program, if we have any volunteers that are like, yeah, I'm pretty up to speed, I think I can carry a person if they need help with some certain concepts. Okay. But just keep in mind that this is a working group, right? So I literally want to hit the ground running. Day one, we're in there, get your Pro Trader workbench out, and let's get to work. So I don't know whether that answers the question or not. I hope it helps you. All right. We'll probably talk more and more about this over the coming month. All right. Okay. I think we'll leave it at that. Way too long, but what the hell? Maybe what we'll do is we'll cut out the political bullshit at the beginning of this, and then that'll bring that back down to maybe like a half hour, 45 minutes. All right. Have yourselves a great day. All the best. Bye for now.